So there.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
Why do you keep saying let us know your thoughts?
Let me know your thoughts to me is a nice lead-in for So there. So there. Welcome to episode 45 of So
there.
I'm Tom Karamitis.
And I'm Gary Doyle, and we have, Tom, a special episode today, don't we?
Yes, another episode, a rare episode of Conversations with Legends.
Yes, Conversations with Legends is where we occasionally have on legends to the show. Legends who are legendary in their own ways. And when I say legends, I'm not exaggerating. Especially in the case with our guest today, who is Anne Ramsburg.
Welcome, Anne, to the pod.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be here.
Anne is a loyal listener, one of our 9 or 10. Actually, we don't have 9 or 10 loyal listeners. We have 9 or 10 total listeners. Anne is probably one of the top 2 or 3 most loyal.
Yeah, I remain loyal to the pod.
Anne takes extensive notes on each episode, I think. And
Yeah,
she
she
reports
does.
back to us.
She does. Tom, do you have, by any chance, the letter that Anne sent that prompted us to invite her on the show?
I can find it while you talk.
All right.
With Anne.
So let me talk a little bit about Anne and why she's a legend. Anne is a legendary advertising account person. I worked with her at Kramer Krasalt for many years. Legendary karaoke performer. We have performed together many times in various karaoke venues. A few other facts about Anne. She was Thespian of the Year her senior year of high school. She was the lead singer of the band Chicks and Beer. Uh-oh, everything okay there, Tom? I think Tom was so overwhelmed by Chicks and Beer that he
Chicks and a beer and hunting for emails. I'm just a little bit. I'll rise above it, though. I'm a professional.
I threw you a curveball. Yeah, Chicks and Beer. Anne was the lead singer. And perhaps most impressively, in terms of her legendary accomplishments, Anne once got the autograph of Philip Michael Thomas, who was Detective Tubbs in Miami Vice, in an airport once.
Yes, and if I may, it wasn't just an autograph. He actually wrote me a little something. And he wrote, "The fragrance of the rose never leaves the hand of the beholder."
Oh my gosh.
That reminds me a
Michael
little bit
Thomas.
of what was it that our friend Jim Furr used to say? About the heel crushing the. Remember?
Yeah.
The scent is the
scent,
forgiveness.
Forgiveness is the scent that the violet leaves on the heel that crushes it.
Yes.
And do you think Philip Michael Thomas was trying to kind of ingratiate himself with Anne Ramsburg when he wrote that? Because that sounds kind of, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, this was, in the 80s when that show was on, so I was young. And I was pretty impressed that he went to that length of writing, a little poem for me. I would have been happy if he just would have scribbled his name.
Right. So you asked for an autograph and that happened?
Yes.
Okay. Did he talk about, when you met Philip Michael Thomas, did he talk about EGOT? Do you know what EGOT is?
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony?
Exactly. When Philip Michael Thomas was famous in his Miami Vice heyday, I remember reading an article about him, and that was his goal, EGOT, to win in his career an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony.
How far did he get on those?
He met Anne Ramsburg. That's how far he got.
I'd say also what he wrote to Anne was essentially the polar opposite of what Florence Henderson wrote to you, Gary Doyle.
Yeah. You've got Wessonality and not much else. That's another story I'm not going to go into. If you listen to
you
our
did go into it.
I did.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
If you listen to our podcast, you know the story. Anyway, Anne, welcome to So There.
Thank you very much.
Did you dig up the letter, Tom?
I did. Anne reached out and said, first, I want to provide some reassurance that your listenership hasn't entirely gone away, like you seem to imply on the pod with much endearing self-deprecation. You've still got one loyal listener in me. Next, I wanted to get your thoughts on something I've noticed running rampant in general communication these days. There is a phrase that has become so ubiquitous that I wonder how it elevated to such fame. Never in my life have I heard more people using the phrase, couldn't be more, ... as in, couldn't be happier, or couldn't be more proud, or it couldn't have been easier. Wouldn't it be easier just to say, I'm happy, or I'm proud, or it was easy? Why the need to infuse the semantic gymnastics? Are we so bored and desperate for new material that we need to make our sentence structure unnecessarily complex for fun? Have you noticed this too? I'd appreciate your thoughts. Love, Anne.
Anne, would you care to elaborate on those thoughts?
Sure. Yeah, I just feel like everyone is backflipping. Instead of saying, I'm so excited, everyone's saying, I couldn't be more excited. I couldn't be happier. It couldn't have been easier, instead of just saying like, oh, it was really easy. And this happens a lot. I see it a lot on LinkedIn, especially from companies or, who are touting wins or awards or accolades. They say, couldn't be more excited about our, agency of the year. Couldn't be more proud of this team who won the one show, whatever.
Couldn't be more. My favorite LinkedIn humble brag. Honored and humbled. Couldn't be more honored and humbled to win Cannes Silver Lion for my Campbell Soup video.
Right. I just think shouldn't we just be saying it's so exciting to win a Cannes Lion, or I'm so proud of my team. But I guess they feel compelled. Maybe it's the superlative that there's nothing else in the world that they're more proud of than this, and that's why they say at that moment. So I couldn't be more proud, even if I tried.
Yeah, there's a lot of lazy syntax in our industry. But you're right. That one is I cringe a little bit, and I have to now watch myself because I'm not sure if I do that or not, but I need to watch myself from now on. But I kind of cringe a little bit the way, like, when I'll hear no worries. Like everybody with no worries. And I think no worries started in Australia. Somebody told me once it was kind of an Australian thing to say, and it kind of caught on here. But that's another strange one to me. It's like if I accidentally cut you off in the grocery aisle, or you cut me off and you say, no worry, and I say, I'm sorry, no worries. I mean, it's to me, it's just a strange two words to put together.
Well, no worries is also a slight irritant to Gary Doyle as a way of saying you're welcome. Like if the waitress brings you a glass of water and you say thank you and she goes, no worries. Well, I didn't really think you were worried. I wasn't concerned about you being worried, but I'm happy to hear you're not worried. But yeah.
Yeah, this is your job. You didn't just rescue my family from a fire, Well,
I think it's also a general Anne's notion of I couldn't be happier. Like that's the hyperbole of it. I could not be happier. Instead of saying I'm happy. There's a certain hyperbole in the way I think people talk. Like I was in a meeting yesterday, and we were waiting for the last client to get on the Zoom, right? And she was struggling to get on the Zoom, and she finally did. And the account person said, "Oh, you're here, amazing." Now, was it really amazing? That she joined the Zoom? I mean,
was that more sarcasm than hyperbola?
No. I mean, this is the way people say amazing all the time. Oh, amazing. We're all here. Okay, let's start the meeting. It really wasn't amazing. Everybody showed up for the meeting. Same kind of the same thing as I couldn't care less. I could not care less.
Now, Anne, you and Gary are both at CK, right? That's where you guys know each other from.
Yes.
Okay. And I assume CK has been in lockdown pretty much as long as everybody else has, which is like now going on over a year and a half, basically. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think I'm not there anymore. You'll have to ask Gary.
I wasn't aware of that. Okay. So you guys are former coworkers.
Yeah, Anne moved to Texas.
Oh.
Am I saying Texas the right way, Anne? Texas.
Yes.
They kind of say Texas like with a little edge, like, I'm from Texas.
It sounds like you're doing a bit of a George W. Bush when you do that, Texas. You're kind of pursing your lips a little bit.
I kind of am.
And in your current life, are you doing nothing but Microsoft Teams calls and Zoom calls and things like that, or are you in person with work?
I am a remote like the rest of the world, or most of the world.
Because the reason I ask is I had an experience last weekend that I was wondering if you guys have had, and it was very strange to me. One of the account groups that I'm on, we had never actually met in person. It had just been a year and a half of working together, all on Microsoft Teams. And we decided to have a little kind of dinner and drinks downtown on a nice evening about a week ago. So I found it was like an epiphany for me, because these people who I had never seen in person before, I found myself staring at. It was kind of like when you're in a restaurant and you see a celebrity. You've only seen them on TV. Mm-hmm. Now you're seeing them in the flesh, and you're kind of mentally comparing how they look in real life with how they've looked on your computer screen. Right. And it was a kind of, it wasn't quite like being starstruck, but it was a little bit of that same dynamic where you kind of find yourself looking at them a lot because you've only seen them on a screen before. Have you guys experienced that?
Yes, and then you're tempted to tell the person, right? Like either, oh, you look taller, or you're so much taller in person, or you look
your
so
nose
much
is so much
younger,
larger,
or, right? And is that appropriate? Like it's not, it would be an unusual thing for me to say to Gary or you, Tom, if I'd never met you in person, Tom. To meet you for the first time and to say to you, oh, you're much taller than I would have expected. That would be an unusual thing to say to someone if you're meeting them in person for the first time. But yet, everyone is having those thoughts because everyone is seeing each other on screen for the first time.
Yeah, it's this really strange phenomenon, and I wasn't expecting it, and it kind of caught me by surprise. And it sounds silly. There's a little bit of giddiness in it. It was just, and maybe some of it was just we were all excited because now we were outside in each other's physical presence for the first time. But there was a strange element of being a little starstruck with my coworkers. It was just, it was fun, and it was a good feeling, and it also reminded me how much I miss actually spending time in person with people, and how energizing it is, and how the things we take for granted about the quick little 2-minute conversation when you pass somebody in the hallway never seems to happen anymore.
Well, Tom Karamitis is a weirdo. He goes into the office once a week for that reason, just to go to the office and see people, whereas I love my coworkers, but if I never went into the office again, I'd be delighted. If I worked from home the rest of my career, I'd be just delighted and saw my coworkers on a screen. So Tom is kind of weird that way.
I think I'm with Tom. I would prefer to be amongst my coworkers in real life.
Well, you're a weirdo too.
That's true.
Feel that there's a total breakdown in boundaries now when you're just home. I mean, I actually enjoyed taking and granted the train gets old, especially in the winter, but having that delineation of, okay, I'm at work now. Okay, I'm focusing on this. And then, you come home at night and it's okay, other than checking my email a couple more times, I'm kind of done with that part of my day. And when you're at home, and I know, Gary, you love sitting on your front porch and glaring at the neighbors when they walk by during your workday, but don't you find it just gets a little bit monotonous?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But it's kind and I do glare at my neighbors. That's a true observation. I don't know. You're 1 minute you're on the porch, glaring at your neighbors, and the next minute you're answering emails and you're beginning work, and it's a seamless transition for me. So no, that's okay. And as you know, here on So There, it's much of our material, such as it is, if you will, Seinfeldian observations of humanity and life. And do you have any of those to share with us?
I do. I have a couple. One would be regarding air travel. And I know that you two have covered, do you recline, do you not recline? What are the rules on the reclining seat? I am a non-recliner, and I'm offended by the recliners. Right. But separately, or in addition to, I am very surprised by the number of people who fly with a neck pillow.
I like that. That's a good observation.
The neck pillow, whether it's inflatable or just, memory foam, I would have to think those came out, in the 70s or 80s? And to think that people are still buying them today and traveling with them, thinking that this neck pillow is going to afford them a sound sleep, and it's a required packed item, is just shocking to me. Have you two ever used a neck pillow?
I have wondered about the neck pillow. I have never used the neck pillow.
Yeah, me neither, because they make you look ridiculous. But also, I think people who sleep with neck pillows tend to sleep with their mouth open. So, they'll either have their head leaning back against the neck pillow or off to the side, and their mouth will be hanging open with this big gaping maw. And I don't want to be that person, so no, I don't use a neck pillow. I don't sleep on flights in general, so I have a hard time sleeping standing up. But yeah, and the profit margin on those must be huge. They're like $20 in the airport gift store, right?
Yeah, they're not cheap. And do they? Another thing I was wondering about them, do they count as your personal item? Because you can only carry on your suitcase and one personal item. Does that count as your personal item, or do you circumvent that rule by actually wearing it as an accessory when you get on the plane? So you're confusing. You're pulling a fast one on the person at the gate. It's like she looks at you, she sees your suitcase, your briefcase, and that fancy accessory, accoutrement around your neck.
Your inflatable necklace.
Right.
That's a baller maneuver to get on the plane with your neck pillow around your neck.
But most people do, don't they? I mean, it seems like when you're sitting there and you're watching people board, the neck pillow enthusiasts seem to be. Well, it seems to be already on their person as they walk down the aisle, don't you think?
Yeah, more times than not, yes. They're wearing it in the gate area.
A legend like Anne Ramsburg would never wear a neck pillow.
No, I would not.
I also applaud, and I agree with you about the recline thing. I don't ever recline, and I don't like when people recline in front of me. My basic feeling on a plane is I don't want to have and this is part of the antisocial nature of my personality, I want to have as little to do with my seatmates as I can, meaning I want a window seat so that I don't have to ask to climb over them to go to the bathroom, because I usually don't go to the bathroom on the flight. And then I usually keep my arm off the shared armrest as well, because I don't want to have that awkward elbow competition. That to me, just put me in my little corner and I won't bother you. And if you start a conversation with me, I'll converse, but I'm not going to start generally a conversation on the plane with a stranger.
I read an article once where the airplanes do not take a stand either way on recliners. So they don't say, well, that's a good or bad thing. And the reason for that is because they sell the person the seat, and theoretically it's their right to move it back because seats recline, right? And theoretically they paid for that seat. However, the airplane pitches keep getting narrower and narrower and smaller, and so they don't want to come out on the side of the recliner, because they know that people who are being reclined upon more and more have less and less room, and they'll piss them off. So they can't take a stand on this either way. They have to be Sweden.
I've often wondered if there will come a day where planes forego the recline option altogether and just make it a non-issue. Will we ever get to that point where the seats don't recline at all?
Totally.
And would that be a better experience?
I totally agree, and I've wondered that myself, because it seems like there's a lot of that recline feature seems to be the source of a lot of glares and conflict sometimes between passengers. Why not just, especially on shorter flights, it really is going back 2 inches really going to make a dramatic difference in your comfort. So I'm kind of surprised they haven't just deactivated the recline feature. I know there's something that you used to be able to buy online which would render the person's seat in front of you non-reclinable. It was some kind of bracket or something. Remember that thing?
Oh, yeah, it exists. That's a thing that some people use. Yeah, and that article I read about the airlines talked about that. How some people use that and infuriates the person who wants to recline.
Wow.
But yeah, I once flew Frontier, which is a low-rent kind of airline, and they had non-reclining seats, probably because it was a low-rent airline, and I loved it. It was a delight because nobody could recline. Mm-hmm. They were all fixed positions, I think what I find the most annoying about recliners, and I'm on the anti-reclining side, but it's the worst transgression is when people in exit rows recline. So they've got unlimited legroom in front of them, like 2 feet of legroom, and yet they recline back into your space. That is just. I had somebody do that once on a plane, and they were working, and I saw their email on their computer, and I sent them an email. And later on I said, you really shouldn't recline your seat, when you're in an exit row.
Did you get a response?
I did. It was actually a polite response. They were like, oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. So, perhaps a little teachable moment there.
The only nod I would give to the recliners of the world is that I think if you're not reclining and you doze off, you're going to end up probably doing that endless head bob thing, where your head falls forward and then you wake up. So having a slight recline helps that angle maybe, so your head doesn't fall into your chest. So
maybe that's what the neck pillow is for.
Cushions the fall.
Oh, I thought that. Okay.
So there. Well, that's a fine observation, Tom, Anne, and I'd like to share something. Since we're both karaoke people, at least Tom Karamitis used to be before he retired to sit in his hotel room on business trips. But I'd like to in the form of this thing we call
Lightning Round.
And so there, I'd like to share some rules of karaoke and see if you all agree. All right? Let's do a lightning round of rules of karaoke. Rule number 1, you have to power through the song. If you get up there and sing And if you realize the song is not for you, either it's too long or not in your key or you're making a fool of yourself, you cannot leave the stage. You have to power through. It's one rule of karaoke. Rule number 2, the true karaoke performer does not do a duet with somebody else, does not do a group performance where you're up there with 4 other drunk people, singing New York, New York, whatever. No, the true karaoke performer performs on their own, up there on stage, vulnerable to the world. That's number 2. Number 3, props separate you from the pack. If there's bongo drums on stage, if there's a saxophone, is there anything you can interact with, props separate you from the pack. And finally, rule number 4, you don't have to play to the crowd. A lot of people will sing whatever, a real crowd pleaser, but Tom Karamitis will tackle All By Myself by Eric Carmen, which has a 4-minute piano solo in the middle where Tom would go to the edge of the stage, sit down, and brood. Tom and I have made the crowd uncomfortable singing along, singing Ebony and Ivory. 2 white men, and no one's quite sure who's Ebony and who's Ivory. So, you don't have to play to the crowd. You can make them uncomfortable. Those are my 4 rules of karaoke. So there.
There's a lot to unpack there. I think since Anne is also a karaoke aficionado, I'd like to get her take on some of those things.
Well, I largely agree with Gary on most things, especially on things related to karaoke, but I'm going to disagree with him on the solo performance. I do think a duet can bring a lot of energy to the room. So I agree. The group, you don't want 10 people on stage singing Don't Stop Believing. But I think 2 people maybe singing Shallow.
Oh, that's true.
Is a great one. Now, conversely, 2 people singing Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot would not be a good choice.
Anne
just hypothetically speaking.
Anne is making these references because we have sung both of those songs together on stage. So she revealed Gary Doyle to be a hypocrite. So we have sung those together on stage, and we did clear the room, by the way, when we sang Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot. I think that emptied out the bar.
Yeah.
And Gary, you'll recall that you and I have sung Where Is the Love by, I think, Roberta Flack as a duet as well.
That made the audience uncomfortable as well.
I would probably qualify that one comment that I think if doing a duet is the way to dip your toes in the karaoke pond, then as a first timer, then I'm probably a little more open to it, because some people just don't want to get up there, and it's easier if you're getting up there with a friend. The other exception I'd make is, if it's a song that makes sense to do as a duet, like Ebony and Ivory, then I think that makes sense as well. But other than that, I would probably agree that, swallow your medicine, get up there and embarrass yourself.
One thing I'll mention about Anne Ramsburg that also makes her legendary, she is an extraordinarily versatile karaoke performer. She has tackled Helen Reddy, I Am Woman. She has tackled Bob Seger, and Loretta Lynn, coal miner's daughter. So that 3 distinct genres, and she's tackled them all with aplomb. When Anne tackles Bob Seger, for some reason that nobody understands, she does not sing like a crowd pleaser you might expect of a Bob Seger song, like Old Time Rock and Roll, no, she sings Still the Same. A totally innocuous
deep track.
A deep track that Anne feels compelled to sing.
It is my favorite Bob Seger song, so.
I made the mistake of doing a karaoke song on a song I really liked, but then I quickly realized that really the only thing I knew about the song was the chorus, and it was in such an odd time. The rest of the song was in such an odd time signature that I got lost. And Gary, I think, was there for "Aha, Take on Me." All I really knew was, the chorus part, but the rest of it, if you ever listen to it, it's like every other line is sung on the downbeat. It's just kind of It's kind of, and I was flustered. I had a karaoke shame moment.
But you powered through, unlike the pod's art director, Jim Furr, who once fled the stage when tackling "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go" by Wham. He panicked and fled the stage.
Another observation that I have made, this is recent, this was within the last, I'm going to say, week. We watch a lot of soccer in my house. My son plays soccer. My husband used to play soccer. American football, you might call it. But the men are now wearing sports bras under their jerseys.
Whoa.
Whoa.
You can see them under the jersey, and then at the end of the game, if they remove their jerseys, now they're just dudes in sports bras.
So this is professional soccer?
This is professional, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Premier League,
and
Major League, yes.
Yeah, Premier League's the big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, Anne, you don't have the benefit of seeing Tom on the FaceTime, his face when you said men wear sports bras.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think they do that?
I don't know. That's why I wanted to bring it up today, because I can't think of a single reason why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. Are there sports bras made for men? I keep going back to the Seinfeld episode when George's father had kind of man breasts, and Kramer was going to design the man's ear for him, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. So when a soccer player scores a goal and they run around and sometimes they'll rip off their jersey, are they just now just having their sports bra on as they run
Correct.
around? Or
yeah. So I guess one of the common things that happens in soccer is at the end of the game you switch jerseys with the other team as a good game, nice playing with you, good luck. They switch jerseys, and now when they go through the process to switch jerseys, they're removing their jerseys, and then they're just standing around in their sports bras. And they look to be every bit as identical as a sports bra that a woman would wear. Same design, same racer back, it's alarming.
is it another branding opportunity for a sponsor? Is it like Under Armour or Nike or somebody with their logos all over it, or does everybody wear their own?
I didn't notice. They were plain white, the ones that I was seeing.
Yeah, that's kind of alarming. Obviously professional athletes don't have the man boobs that Tom speaks of from the Seinfeld episode. They don't have that to worry about. They're very fit. May I ask, do your husband and son wear man bras?
They do not.
Does Jay wear a man bra?
Gary, this is none of your business.
He does not, nor would he be allowed to.
Jay, next time you see me, don't punch me in the face.
But I can't think of a reason why these men are wearing sports bras under their jersey. And it wasn't just a few, and it wasn't just one team. It is, and of course I asked my husband about it. I was like, what is going on? And he said, yes, it's a new thing.
The only thing I would, and I'm just racking my brain here, but is it to prevent nipple chafage against the sweaty jersey as they're running around?
Perhaps, yeah, that perhaps. I mean, that's the reason.
But I don't think do marathon runners, male marathon runners wear sports bra? I don't know because they don't take their jerseys off. But I had never seen that. I'm gonna have to look for that now. I'm intrigued.
well,
I don't think I've
you-
seen male sports bras sold in like my local Dick's Sporting Goods. I didn't know they made them.
Well, there
I'm
are
short
men.
circuiting here. I can't wrap my head around it. Why would you need that?
There are men that wear makeup, right? I mean, that's kind of growing, and men that wear makeup, and maybe there's more men want to be like women. I don't know.
Maybe some of our 5 or 6 other listeners can weigh in on this and send us a note at sothere@yahoo.com and enlighten us collectively.
Well, Anne, this has been a delight. I'd like to thank you for an hour of your life in Texas that you're not ever going to get back. Thank you, thank you for spending it with us.
It has been my pleasure.
Well, Anne, thank you again. And Gary, as always, thank you. And until next time, for Anne and Gary, this is Tom saying,
So there!